This is my favorite time in the morning, where the sun is just peeking through the trees, and you can even see the steam coming off my magic mind. I'm gonna go paddleboarding this morning. It's easier just to live on a lake. I should not complain. I live in paradise in Charleston. But you got to time the tide and the wind and all the things. Then you got to get enough energy with magic mind. You got to go to the bathroom right before you go. You don't have to go to the bathroom while you're paddleboarding. Last night at I guess it was low tide around 6 p.m. And we were out paddleboarding, and two dolphins swam. He was in his kayak and I was on my paddleboard, right between the two of us. I have never been that close to a dolphin before. And it's also bittersweet because at the recording of this intro to the podcast with Mark, Scott and I have broken up. At the recording of the pre-record of the podcast, I was still with Scott. And something Mark said in this podcast, part 2, is so indicative of what we just couldn't get past. This idea of feeling another and being felt by another. Like, I feel you feeling me. I feel you feeling me. This was the most painful missing for me in the relationship. And what I've come to discover since then, there are flavors of feeling you feeling me. And there was more of a friendship, almost brotherhood, sisterhood, love, care, support, see the best in one another, want the best for one another. Like, there's that kind of love that I feel so deeply from Scott, but the kind of more erotic, rapturous depth of spaciousness, infinite consciousness, to be like blasted open to the edges of the universe. Those energies I didn't feel. And also when I got hurt, scared, my interpretation is that I could feel him not as present. Perhaps my wounds triggered his wounds. Well, I'm confident that my wounds got triggered. I'll just own that. And so as we've completed our relationship, where I can feel him feeling me, there's so much love as friends. There was so much in the way in terms of lovers. And so as you listen to part 2 of Mark's incredible podcast, I think you'll feel into the ache that I had and have for that depth of being felt as a woman, as a goddess, intimately, sacred, sexually, in all my flavors, not just the happy ones and erotic ones, but even if I'm deeply devastated, just, can you stay with me? Can you stay with me? And I don't need to be fixed, but just be with me. And I choose to develop that capacity myself to be able to be there for another that way. To be seen and so safe in whatever human experience we have, to me, is one of the greatest gifts we can give. So enjoy this part 2 with the incredible Dr. Marc Gafni. Welcome to Intimate Conversations. Become the one. Intimacy is an inside job. Okay, stay with me.
Please.
I just want to talk to you for like 10 million days. Okay.
Do it.
Homo or more. And I'm speaking of when I met you 4 years ago and who I'm becoming as feeling God, goddess within me, attracting a healthy relationship. I'm able to feel. You said feel the whole. Remember October 7th? And then wasn't it your son's bar mitzvah? And half of your smile was, devastated, and half it was to feel the whole. Mark, that's fucking hard. It's fucking hard to keep your heart open in the face of it all. Yeah. So this evolution into Homo Amor isn't, in my opinion, in the divine mind, it has to be with an open heart. It has to be deep in our hips to feel
Yeah.
and be able to digest atrocities while still being open to a new story. Like, it's hard to be present to it
Hard.
all.
It's hard. And we need to do it, as you say beautifully, not only in our heart, but in our hips, right? We
Mm-hmm.
have to, in our body, it has to be embodied.
Yeah.
And we have to be willing to not walk around the pain,
Yeah.
to weaponize the pain,
Yeah.
right? To actually both,
Alchemize it.
right, to alchemize it, to, I would say, to act with fierceness as it's necessary,
Yeah.
and with quivering tenderness as it's
Yeah.
necessary,
Yeah.
right? To discern, to actually access the embodied sensuality that allows us to do sense making,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it lives in the body, and a traumatized body can't do sense making. But
Correct.
to be able to step back into the field of value and not hijack one value as my identity, right? When one value becomes my identity, then that one value becomes a form of pseudo eros,
Right.
which actually, right, which actually covers up my emptiness, right,
Yep.
which doesn't
Yep.
work, right?
Right.
So it's my people, my ethnocentric nationalism becomes a form of pseudo eros to cover up the collapse of my own interior sense of wholeness. What I
Yes.
need instead of that is I need to say, no. We're all going to step inside in the field of value. We're in the field of value together. And
Yep.
from within the field of value together, we can have a conversation. From
Okay.
within the field together, we can access new synergies and new possibilities. And they're
Okay.
not two, there's only one side. There's only one side. The only side is the side of love.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Define what stepping into the field of value looks like and means. From the book, when I've read through it, first value, there's uniqueness, eros, intimacy, desire, relationship, evolution, harmony, freedom. Tell us
And
what
those
it means
are
to.
specific, or
Mhm.
those are beautiful, and those are specific. There's 18 first principles and first values, and there are equations for each of them in the book. But let's
Okay.
go even beyond that. We use a phrase there, the field of value, which is very
Yeah. Help
important.
us understand what that means to step
So
into that.
another word from kind of the ancient texts, which alludes to, although it doesn't use a word like that, the field of value would be, let's say, the Tao.
Mm.
We talk about the Tao, either DAO or TAO. The
Hmm.
Tao is the ground of everything. And that ground of everything is not just a social construction. It's not just a social contrivance. It's
Hmm.
actually nature of reality. So, for example, when we talk about, I'll often talk about either evolutionary love or outrageous love.
Yeah.
Why? Because the word love has been hijacked as a kind of human social construction.
Yeah.
And love, not merely a human social construction, it's the heart of existence itself.
Yeah.
In other words, Eros is the fabric of cosmos. It is the structure. It is the currency that
Yep.
animates the four forces: the strong and the weak, nuclear, the electromagnetic, the gravitational, right? It is that which moves, right, all of reality. It's what animates the self-actualizing cosmos. So Eros is not a contrivance. Eros is the essence of reality. Now, this is really important. The religions in the pre-modern period tried to hijack Eros, to own it, to tame
Yep.
it, and to colonize it, and say
Yep.
that love means this set of dogmas,
Right.
and love means this set of boundaries in which those on the inside deserve love and those on the outside don't. And men are defined in this way and women are defined in that way, right? And sexuality is permitted this way, but if you get naked that way, that's a really big problem, right? In other
Mm.
words, and which kindness is limited to a very small circle, right, within
Mm.
my ethnocentric predicament. So along came modernity, and modernity said that's not love, right? There's right, and then postmodernity, Foucault said that there's just power games, right? And actually, there are no real stories of value. Stories are all made up, including love stories. You can have
Mm.
love stories, but they're made up. And know
Mm.
that they're made up. Know that they are, to quote one writer, my colleague in Jerusalem, Yuval Harari, Yuval says wrongly, but he parrots postmodernity and he says, essentially all stories of value, including love stories, are fictions, figments of our imagination, social constructs. Now, it's why when you read Yuval's book, and Yuval's, I'm sure, a lovely, lovely man. This is not a critique of him as a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, and Yuval and I come from a kind of a half similar kind of street in Israel that we were both kind of connected to, a couple of steps removed. So this is not about Yuval. Blessings to Yuval. But when you finish reading a book of Yuval's, which I have, you're chilled. You feel chilled. You feel this kind of cold chill, kind of like what you feel like when you finish watching the movie Barbie, right? Because they're both saying the same thing. They're both saying there's no real love story in the universe.
Yeah.
There is no love story between Barbie and Ken, right? It's all made up. That's not true. Yeah. Actually, Eros, or love, and I use the word Eros, not love, because Eros means the heart of existence itself, outrageous love, evolutionary love, is the nature of existence.
Yeah.
And here's the big sentence, and love evolves. Value evolves.
Yes.
So value is not only eternal, it's also evolving.
Yes.
And what the academic establishment said was value is not real because you're always claiming value is eternal. And the academic establishment said, no, values are always evolving. So clearly they can't be actually real. They're always changing. No. There's something called Eros. We actually defined what it actually means in an Eros interior science equation, which we adduced at the beginning of our conversation. And then within the context of that equation, love Eros evolves. Yeah. So the way I would say it in a word is the eternal Tao is the evolving Tao.
Yes.
So it's not a perennial philosophy. It's what Zach and I call, David J. Temple, we call it an evolving perennialism. That there are perennial, eternal truths that themselves are evolving. So love means something. It means to care for, to hold, right? To be concerned with, to bracket self for the sake of devotion to. That's all what love means. But how that expresses itself has to evolve. So, for example, love needs to evolve from I love only my tribe.
Yeah.
Ethnocentric to world-centric. I love every human being on the planet. And then it's got to evolve world-centric to actually, I love also the animals. And then I love also the earth. And I love she. And I actually love the process of evolution itself. And then I've got to evolve beyond that. You remember the movie Avatar, where Cameron was pointing out that you can actually be an ethnocentric human. And the Avatar, right? The people from that other tribe, right? Those folks, they're bad folks. And as the famous Colonel says in Avatar, he says, those are the hordes of the primitives. But actually the Avatar story is about, can you actually break out beyond an ethnocentric even humanity? And we need to move to a galactic love because we're moving towards a galactic world, a cosmic world. So so the field of value is the intrinsic interior quality of cosmos, which is not that it's everlasting, that it never changes in time. It's beneath time. It's beneath space, but it's that which generates time and space. That's the field of value.
And it feels safe to be in your skin.
Yes. That's beautiful. That's beautiful,
and
Allana,
it
right?
feels
beautiful.
like I can be brave and open my heart even if we don't agree.
That's right. Because
and it feels like I can't fuck it up. The divine's got my back kind of thing.
That's right. Because intimacy is beautiful, gorgeously said, right? Because intimacy is not a mere social contrivance. Intimacy is backed by the universe.
Yeah. Right? And it feels like I don't need to interrupt if I don't agree. And I can actually be curious and say, tell me more.
Right.
Because to your child.
Gorgeous. No, gorgeous. Because my value is not my identity.
Right.
That was the field that we both live in together.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's okay if I'm wrong because I'm evolving, and tell me more. I'm willing to see things a new way, like how to apply what you're saying in communication between lovers, married, dating, children, colleagues, this ability to put down walls and open hearts and just be whole, full. I don't need you to be a certain way in order to be okay over here. I don't need to
Beautiful.
know what's going to happen tomorrow. I can be with uncertainty because I don't need to know. I'd prefer some days, right, to know how it's all going to work out. But I actually am completely whole, full, safe, present in the
Right.
unknown.
If I'm beautifully said, right? If I'm only a separate self, Homo sapien, then I need an identity to survive.
Yeah.
And I value as an identity. So let's take an example of kind of an American culture. You know, one of the huge issues in this upcoming election is going to be abortion.
Mm.
And the issue of, you know, as Roe vs. Wade has gone through all of its
Yeah.
its journeys. And so there's this huge debate in America, which we call pro-life versus pro-choice.
Right.
But of course, it's an absurd debate because each one is saying, I've picked a value, life, I've picked a value, choice, and that
Yeah.
value is my identity. I'm not
Right.
in the field of value, whether I'm a postmodern liberal and choice is my value, whether I'm a fundamentalist Christian and life is my value. They've both stepped out of the field of value because a field of value, in a field of value, it means that both life and choice are unique expressions of a deeper field of value. So if a postmodern liberal and a fundamentalist Christian both live together in the field of value, so when they look at each other, they feel intimate with each other. They feel
Yes.
intimate
Yes.
because we're both value.
Yes.
Oh, we're both value. We're both in the field. We're in the Tao together. We're in the field of value together.
Yeah.
From the Tao, I feel the emergence of this value called life, this unique value called life. And you feel the emergence of this unique value called choice. And I can feel in my body, in my hips, as you said, in my
Yep.
pelvis, in my
Yep.
toenails, in my belly, I can feel the eros of choice and I can honor it. And I can feel the eros of life and I can honor it.
Mm.
And now these two values become intimate with each other. They don't dissociate and they actually make love with each other and they
Yes.
generate a new synergistic emergent. And we move from polarization to
Yes.
paradox,
Yes.
right? And the Garden of Eden is not paradise. It's paradise, which is paradox.
Mm.
That's what happens when you enter the field of value, right?
Mm.
And it's what happens between beloveds, right?
Mm.
Right? If I'm a separate self, I can't give up being right because all I have, my identity is bound up with being right. I can't give up being right. But if we're living together in the field of value, and now let's come at our ending full circle to the word with which you began very beautifully, which lives in the book, and you, with your usual discernment, picked it out so beautifully. And it's the word Eros value.
Mm-hmm.
Eros value. And we made Eros value, David J. Temple made Eros value one word,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's not that Eros is a value or that value has Eros, this experience of radical aliveness in this, right? It brings us together and it creates more wholeness. No, Eros value is one word.
Mm.
And we need, in generating a new grammar of value, we
Yeah.
need to appropriately and rigorously create new words. So, you know, reality is generated by what we might call love intelligence and love beauty and love desire. Or you might say reality is generated and is driven by Eros value.
Mm-hmm.
It's one word, Eros value, right? And it's the value of cosmos is aliveness moving towards deeper contact and ever greater wholeness. And Eros is the value of cosmos. It is the primary value of cosmos out of which all values emerge. And
Yeah.
I want to just honor you because what we've done today is we've really trusted people and we've said we actually can participate. We can take our seats at the table of history and participate in articulating a new grammar of value. And from there, we'll get to all the life hacks. We'll get to
Mm-hmm.
all the ways it applies to your life. We'll get to all the ways you can use it immediately. But if we don't ground our practice and our interventions and our methodologies in a new story of value, they ultimately don't compel, they don't actually allure. And,
Mm-hmm.
and everything we do is for one reason, because we're allured.
Mm.
Allurement drives the scientist, and the ethicist, right? And the mother, and the lover, and the father, and the engineer, right? And the kindergarten teacher, and the gardener. It's all allurement. It's allurement that generates our life. And as the unique self who am I am a unique set of allurements. And she, divinity, she's the infinite intimate who's allured to finitude. So Blake said eternity is in love with the productions of time. Right? So how beautiful to be with you and to be able to begin to bring first values and first principles, right? And just thank everyone for just like the big thank you. And I'm slightly embarrassed to do this. I just have to tell you one funny 10-second story if I can.
Please.
I was in Maui and it was 2006. And I was at Ram Dass's house and we had just become friendly. And I was there, Ram Dass, myself, and KD and Krishna Das. And we were doing this teaching. And it was, Ram Dass actually had a stroke. And so he wasn't, completely well. And we all became very close friends. It was a very beautiful 9-10 days. And at some point there's an evening and a writer named, famous writer, I can't remember his name, Wayne Dyer, right, who lived there. Wayne Dyer was a kind of, I guess, an epic writer of the early human potential movement. Wayne Dyer comes over, who had also was living in Maui, and he put out a new book. And there were like 30 people at the party. And Wayne literally went to every single person at the party. He said, listen, I've got this new book, and it's really important. And I'm looking at him for the first 8 people he did it with, I was kind of horrified. I said, I was aware that he was was a writer, had written many books and sold many copies. And at least, I don't know his work. Actually, I've never read him, but at least by the barometer of selling, he had impacted a lot. And he seemed like a very lovely man when I met him, just a lovely, decent and good man. But really, are you hawking your book, right, at a party of 25 people? But then as he went on, I realized none of the joke's on me. I was more and more impressed. I said, what commitment? Here the guy's 70 years old, right? And he just went and shared with everyone. So I want to take a page from Wayne Dyer, at least in that respect, right? I am utterly convinced, together with Zach and our friends, that this book actually can change culture. So I want to ask everyone directly, look at the link that Allana sends you and pick it up and read it carefully and give us your feedback and send it to your friends. First principles and values. Yay.
This is great. And I love that we're ending on this story. I remember being in Maui, walking along the beach saying, wouldn't it be cool if I met Wayne Dyer, walked right into him? And I told him, and he's hilarious. Isn't it incredible, the power of asking? Right. And I was like, that took 2 seconds. I walked right into you. So thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. I would like everyone, I ask everyone as well, please get this book. I've read it. I will reread it. And I want to end on this quote. You're so fucking brilliant. You're such a gift to humanity. You're so caring and intuitive. There's a quote in his bio. It says, by his own self-description, like all of us, I'm a flawed human being, an imperfect vessel for the light, radically committed to constant healing, transformation, and the evolution. We've been talking the evolution of love. I too am a very flawed human being. And the beauty that say it again.
What a delight to be with you. Really an honor and a delight.
Thank you. So we share with all of you watching and listening the willingness to be intimate, the willingness to be flawed, the willingness to do the work to be at peace in your skin, the willingness to tell a new story, the willingness to feel the ache of the divine, to know itself as you more and more and more and more. Thank you for being a part of this conversation with us. Get the book. And as soon as you're done listening, I'd like you to take a moment and be still. There will be many moments of this conversation that will have awakened something within you. Go for a walk in nature, meditate, sit still, get out your journal, allow something in this conversation to literally move the trajectory of your life as if you were a ship. One little degree can shift the rest of humanity. And that is our intention, that everyone listening can make that one little shift. And together we will move through the meta crisis to this world of Homo Amor. Thank you, Marc. Until next time, humongous love to you. And thank you all for watching. Much love.
Yay.
See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life.
I so enjoy interviewing Dr. Marc Gafni. He's so, his energy, his oneness with Eros, his passion for this work, his commitment to humanity, his brilliance, and I guess it just comes down to his energy and the way he articulates. And I do my best to keep up, and I do my best to, and how can I make this practical for you, for my clients, for me? I just know he's speaking truth. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to know him, learn from him, share his work with you. I'm also grateful. It's interesting. I paddleboarded up the current, and now I've turned around and I'm just floating back down into a dock, actually. Floating back down. And so sometimes in life I push and I don't need to, and other times I go with the flow and I trust the divine. It goes a lot better. And in my relationship with Scott, I pushed to try to make some unworkable things work, because I love him, because I wanted it to work, because I had the best of intentions, because he's a great guy. But we're much better. We have so much fun as friends and not so much as lovers. And so I find it quite symbolic this morning as I finish this last part of the video. I've surrendered. I'm going now with the flow. I can still steer myself away from the dock. But I can trust the divine knew damn well what it was doing, bringing us together. I healed so much. I'm so grateful for him. I did this whole exercise. I am so much better in every single area of my life. And I did it to honor me, him, us, and the divine that brought us together for such incredible growth and evolution. And to forgive myself, or to be gentle, I guess, is maybe with myself, that I thought it was a forever thing. And it wasn't. The friendship is a forever thing. But the lover part isn't. So that makes me sad. And so I'm holding two sides of my heart. One side of my heart is sad. And the other side of my heart is so grateful. And having listened to Dr. Marc Gafni and all of the first principles and first values of being our best self, being intimate, allowing the love of the universe, Eros itself, to have its way with us, and continue to trust that as I move forward, of where I'm going to go next, and where I'm going to live next, and who I'm going to date next, and remember to have that intimate feeling of me. It's one of the biggest lessons I learned with Scott. Was a complaint I had often was, I want to feel you feeling me. But my attention was out there, controlling and needing and wanting, and really an invitation, I believe it was, for me to feel me more, and for me to come home to me more, and me to have wholeness with the divine more, and me to come from fullness and wholeness and give from the overflow. This was a big lesson for me in this relationship. The sun is very bright. It's very beautiful. Oh, so thank you. Thank you for being with me on all these beautiful journeys on Intimate Conversations, these extraordinary guests. Please pick up his book right away if you haven't. First Principles, First Values. You can pick up so many books. They're all incredible, but this is what their gift to humanity right now. So please, you can get it on Audible as well. I listen to it when I walk. I can take it in even more. So however you like to learn and like to digest such exquisite, life-changing material at a time when we're experiencing a crisis, a global crisis in intimacy. And to me, that's why I get up every day and do the work, is so that I can support my clients in having that deep, intimate relationship with themselves first, wholeness first. And I'm here to friggin' learn what I'm here to teach, that's for sure. So take the time to, follow Marc, get his book, and take some time now that the interview is over. What touched you? What enlivened you? What triggered something in you? What made you cry? What fired you up? And take an action. Allow that conversation with the amazing Dr. Marc Gafni to have changed the trajectory of your life. And then as you move forward, do so with surrender, awareness, discernment. Just like I'm floating down this tributary, I'm aware. And I'm letting go. And I'm opening my heart into the unknown. We can all do this. I love you.